You are Locked On Warriors Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Bay Area, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Warriors Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for Murph and Mac in the morning on KMBR. And tonight, the Warriors got it done at Chase Center against a depleted Memphis Grizzlies team, 137-116. It's been Jekyll and Hyde all season long for the Dubs at Chase Center, but they figured it out tonight. What was the difference? And we had a Andrew Wiggins sighting. Finally, Wiggs bounces back in a big way, and so did several other Warriors. We'll break it all down, but first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports Bay Area YouTube channel. Please hit that subscribe button, and also thank you for listening on the Locked On Warriors podcast feed. Make sure to check out the daily Locked On Warriors show for more in-depth coverage. Cyrus does a really great job. And just as a reminder for you guys, we'll be coming to you live after all the Giants games too on Locked On Sports Bay Area. So tune in live for Giants post games all season long. This game tonight was one the Warriors needed to win, and they did. And you saw them come out firing on all cylinders. And this is, you don't want to say a get-right game in March. It's March 20th. The playoffs are right around the corner. But this definitely was a get-right game for the Warriors, for Andrew Wiggins especially. You heard Steve Kerr say to the media in between their last game and today that he was going to look to get Andrew Wiggins going and involved early. He wanted to get him going downhill is what Kerr said. And he had 5 points before the first stoppage in this one. First play out of the game is a play run for Andrew Wiggins to get him driving towards the hoop. And we saw him hit a three, get an inside bucket early on. And it didn't stop there. He continued all night long, scoring, rebounding. He had 6 offensive rebounds, a big night for Andrew Wiggins on the glass, finishes with 10 boards, 22 points, and 3 assists, playing some great defense out there too. And again, this is who he can be when he's at his best. It's who the Warriors need him to be if they're going to win a championship, or even at this point, make a push into the playoffs. I mean, don't look now, but the Houston Rockets are breathing down the Warriors' necks for that last spot in the play-in tournament. And you really don't want that 10th seed. You want to place a little bit higher so you don't have to win 2 consecutive road games in order to advance out of that play-in tournament. Maybe they can get to the 9th seed. That would be ideal if they can pass the Lakers. But at this point, the Houston Rockets are closer to overtaking the Warriors than the Warriors are to overtaking the 6th seed. So it's time to focus on just getting there at this point. And in order to do that, they need Andrew Wiggins to play like Andrew Wiggins can. The one thing I will say, this isn't a big game, and we see Wiggins shrink in big games, and he, steps up in games like this where it's a game that the Warriors should win. It's a game where you can kind of get it going against a weaker team, a team that's talent deficient right now with all the injuries they have. Yes, they have Desmond Bane, awesome NBA player, great three-point shooter, and you have Jaren Jackson Jr., JJJ, one of the best interior defensive players in the league, gets it going from the offensive end too, can shoot the three, score inside, can really do it all. But past those guys, it was a lot of guys who are getting a lot of run for the first time this season with the Grizzlies. GG Jackson looked really nice tonight, had a career high. A couple of different guys for the Grizzlies ended with career highs tonight. GG Jackson finished with 35. Almeida finished with 27 as well for the Grizzlies. He had a really nice first half, had 21 in the first half. But the Warriors opened up a big lead in the second quarter, and they went on a 10-0 run to end that first half. It was pretty close up until then. A lot of lead changes, back and forth game. But after the Warriors went on that run, it was all Dubs from there. And that run was really fueled in huge part, by a bunch of Kuminga dunks, just an aerial assault on the rim. Jonathan Kuminga led the Warriors with 18 points at the half, 5 dunks, 10 of those points coming off of dunks. And we saw it continue throughout the rest of the game. Wiggins throwing down some big dunks at the end. He had back-to-back possessions where he just, as Kalena Azubuike says, displayed the F1 speed, where he had a steal and just blew by like 3 defenders on the Memphis team on both of these plays and threw down just monster dunks. He is a specimen, a physical specimen, man. One of the top 1% of athletes in the NBA. I mean, this guy looks like he could go out on a football field and dominate out there the same way that he's dominating on the basketball court lately. Kuminga finishes with 26 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals for Kuminga. It was all around a really great night from the Warriors. You had 7 different guys in double figures. You only had 6 turnovers. 6 turnovers is a big deal for this team. If you can limit the amount of turnovers that this team has and limit the fouls, you're going to win a lot of games. And tonight, the Warriors didn't foul a ton. Grizzlies did get to the line about 18 times. They shot 18 free throws, sank 14 of them. But it's the turnovers that's really key. Really, really, really key for this Warriors team. The 3-point shot was falling for the Dubs tonight as well. 19 of 39 from 3 for the Warriors. It was coming from everywhere. Steph also had a pretty decent night, but it was quiet. He wasn't needed to go out there and score a ton. It was really the wings that were getting it done. Draymond Green contributed 10 points on offense as well. Something you don't expect from Draymond, but it's always nice when he does contribute. And then the 3 guys that you expect to get the scoring off of the bench got the scoring going for the Dubs. Trace Jackson Davis, 13 points. Chris Paul, 12 points, and a season-high 14 assists. 23 points for Klay Thompson as well, who was 5 of 11 from deep. Had that stroke going tonight for sure. This is, it's either we're talking about strength in numbers type wins from the Warriors where everybody contributes, or we're talking about games where nobody contributes. And it seems like nobody shows up for the Warriors except for Jonathan Kuminga and Stephen Curry. But tonight, everybody came to play. The one Warrior who didn't really have the bounce back game you were hoping he would have was Brandon Podziemski. He did take another shot to the face in this one. He's been getting beat up a lot lately. But he's so tough, and he's always mixing it up on loose balls, fighting for rebounds. And that's going to happen when you're a smaller guy and you're getting in there with the bigger bodies. You're right at elbow, shoulder height. So you're catching a lot of stray, flailing body parts to the face. And that's more or less what happened on this play. Podziemski followed his defender out of the pile around a screen and caught like the defender's hand when he was running, and he swung his arm back while he was running, and in the hand or the forearm caught Podziemski right in the side of the head, in the mouth. He started bleeding. It was not a good scene, but Pod stayed in the game. He's been getting hit in the head. He got hit in the head against the Knicks too by Sims. So he's just been getting beat up down there, man, but he can take it. He's tough. That's kind of who he is. He's a scrappy guy, and you expect him at this point, to be able to kind of endure those things, which a lot of guys in the NBA can't. So that speaks to who he is, the fact that we kind of expect that grit from him. And he's the great connector. As Steve Kerr says, those kind of plays where you signify to your teammates, I'm laying it all out on the line here, makes guys keep going and ratchets up that intensity. And tonight, that's what you saw from the Warriors from start to finish. Intensity all night long. There was no let up. In that fourth quarter, the Grizzlies kind of tried to push a little bit, made a little bit of a run, but the Warriors responded immediately, and they didn't let them get too close. They never let them breathe life into a comeback attempt. So every player on that Grizzlies team is fighting for their NBA life right now. There's so many guys who are fringe NBA players due to all the injuries that the Grizzlies have had this year. John Morant, Marcus Smart, way too many to list really in this show. We just spend the next 10 minutes just listing injured players for the Grizzlies if we did that. But there's been so many guys that have been hurt that you're having to go to GG Jackson as a primary scoring option, and guys are getting some time to shine. So each player on the Grizzlies that's out there is trying to prove that they belong on an NBA court. They're not playing to win this game. They're playing to win their matchups. And that's a dangerous team because they're not worried about the score at the end of the game. That's how teams that are down big margins end up creeping in at the end. And credit the Warriors for keeping the foot on the gas pedal Jonathan Kuminga specifically looked like he was playing hard through the end of this one. A Pat Spencer dunk, if you stayed tuned all the way through the end. Pat Spencer, the undrafted rookie who was the number 1 overall pick in the Pro Lacrosse League and chose to try and be a basketball player instead, ended up on the C-Dubs, the Golden State Warriors G League affiliate, and now he's up here in the big leagues dunking it. Good on Pat Spencer. I'd love to see that. It was a athletic play too. I mean, dude's definitely an NBA athlete. Who knows how his career is going to pan out, but just a fun story, man. Just a fun story in what was a really fun win for the Warriors tonight. Again, 137-116 win over the Memphis Grizzlies in a really dominating fashion in every sense of the game. And that, I think, was most evident by their lack of turnovers. Only 6 turnovers in this one, 5 blocks, 6 steals. So they won the turnover battle by 4, for only forced 10 turnovers, 11 turnovers from the Memphis Grizzlies tonight. So good game from the Warriors. Definitely contributions from everywhere. Kuminga, aerial assault at the rim. Wiggins finally returns to the Warriors. You know, he's been physically there, but it was like, you know, his body was possessed by some alien who had no idea how to play basketball. And now he's back. Andrew Wiggins scoring, rebounding, flying around on defense, doing what he needs to do, getting the Warriors back in the win column. They have been so Jekyll and Hyde at Chase Center all season long. We got to get into that and more next. Stick with us here on the Locked On Warriors postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and we will be right back. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number 1 ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Welcome back to Locked On Warriors postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for Murph and Mac on KMBR. And tonight, the Golden State Warriors took down the Memphis Grizzlies 137-116. A great showing from John Kuminga. A great showing from Andrew Wiggins. Huge bounce back game for him. And Draymond Green, who really played not very well in their last outing against the Knicks, also has a great bounce back game. Led the Warriors in plus minus, actually. Plus 25, 10 points for Draymond. Threw in 12 rebounds and 7 assists. Almost messed around and got a triple-double. A block and a steal as well for Draymond in 24 minutes of action. It's a good win when your starters can all play 20 minutes, less than 30 minutes, and coast to a 20-point win. It's a good night when you can do that. But we haven't had very many of these nights at Chase Center this season. The Warriors, with this win, improved to 18-18, the gravitational pull of 500. A little shout out to that Murph and Mac show, if you know what I mean. But it just seems like they can't get away from it. They're constantly being pulled to that 500 record at home and have been hovering around that spot pretty much all season long. And it's March 20th, man. Like, we don't have that many more home games. Can the Warriors even finish with a winning record at home? You start to look ahead, and it's going to be a little tough. They can do it, but you need to finish with a winning record at home in order to be, I think, taken seriously in the playoffs. There has only been one team in NBA history that did not have a winning record at home, but finished with a winning record overall. And that would be the 2021-2022 Brooklyn Nets. Shout out Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden. That pairing worked not at all. Never got off the ground, never got going. And inconsistency was the hallmark of that team. guys that could just never get on the same page. They couldn't get healthy. It was a different team every night. It looked like Jekyll and Hyde. And that is kind of what the Warriors look like this year. You have these certified stars, superstars, future first ballot Hall of Famers that can lead your team to victory on any given night. You go to the playoffs with this group, nobody wants to face them. You could have said that about that Nets team too. Durant, Harden, and Kyrie. Nobody wants to face a trio like that. Any given night, any of those three guys can just take over a game and beat you almost single-handedly. And that's kind of the same vibe the Warriors have right now too, but it's just not there. The connectivity doesn't seem there all the time. It seems like guys are just trying to turn it on when they want to, and it seems the difference between these two teams is, I think you look at the Warriors bench and it looks like they're having fun. Like they're rooting for each other. They're invested in each other. They actually enjoy showing up to work every day with the people around them, with the guy sitting next to them on the bench. That Nets team back in 2022 looked kind of depressed. Nobody looked really happy. There was a lot of turmoil around that team, and with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant's injuries, and there was all the James Harden drama. That team was full of drama. You don't have that same kind of drama with the Warriors. There's no Jordan Poole, Draymond Green incident lingering over this team. We're not talking about all the periphery stuff. It's just basketball with this team. So you'd think that these guys can figure it out. Can they is a big question mark, because I think that largely depends on if Andrew Wiggins can figure it out. And to this point in his career, do we have an answer on that? On who Andrew Wiggins is? I mean, he has been one night terrible. Perfect example. Last outing against the Knicks. If Andrew Wiggins played the way he played tonight against the New York Knicks on Monday, the Warriors win that game. They do. Tonight, they win, not just because Wiggins played the way he did, but because Draymond did, and so did Kuminga, and so did Curry, and so did Trace Jackson Davis, and so did Clay, and so did Chris Paul, and every single Warrior on this team contributed. They all stepped up in a bigger way tonight. But when Wiggins is playing the way he is, when Kuminga is playing the way he is, when you have two wing players dominating and attacking the way that they do, locked in on defense, switching, flying all around, jumping into passing lanes, like that is when the Warriors are at their best. They have these three wings, that when they have the front court of Draymond, Kuminga, and Wiggins, you can really switch any of those three players onto anybody on the floor and they can stop you. They're an above average defender at every single position. And if they can start getting rolling on offense, getting to the point where they are rolling downhill, attacking the rim, using that athleticism, that is when they're at their best, and they can allow Steph to do his thing on the perimeter and scoring bunches, and that's what they need to get back to. Can they? I mean, tonight, yeah, obviously you did. You saw it firsthand. But this was against a Memphis Grizzlies team that's 23-46 and missing damn near every player on their roster, as they only went with a rotation of essentially 8 guys tonight. You saw them play 9, but one of their players only played 5 minutes. It's not really being a part of the rotation. That's just jamming someone in at the end of the game to eat some minutes. So this Grizzlies team is hurting right now, is tired. This is the perfect opponent for Andrew Wiggins to go hunt to get rolling. We have seen Andrew Wiggins turn it on before, as he has during playoff stretches, during that last Warriors championship run. They couldn't have done it without Wiggins. They couldn't have done it without what he was doing on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. It was incredible. He did everything during that stretch, and he needs to get back to being that first overall type draft pick player. That's who he is. That's who he can be. But is he that guy consistently? We have not seen through any stretch of Andrew Wiggins' career any modicum of consistency of who he is, of his mindset on the court. He is so up and down every night. You can't really rely on him. I mean, it might be the biggest gamble in basketball is putting your eggs into the Andrew Wiggins basket. And that's kind of where the Warriors are at right now. you know what you got from Steph. You know what you got from John Kuminga. Another 20-plus point outing for him. He is absolutely rolling. 12 of 17 for Kuminga tonight. 2 of 3 from 3. He's finding his stroke from deep. He's really been locked in. You know what you're going to get from Kuminga. You know what you're going to get from Steph. Draymond, as long as injuries aren't completely deteriorating his body, you know what you get from him too. Do I know what I get from Andrew Wiggins on a nightly basis? No, I don't. It's the biggest gamble in basketball right now of any playoff team out there. It's not even like if your star player plays to their capability or anything like that. It's if your role player, your most important role player, can step up and be the guy that you know he can be, then the Warriors can be very dangerous in the playoffs. We just have to wait and see. I don't really have an answer. I'm not sold on Wiggins being better after this one game. I'm also not convinced that he can't do it. He's, like I said, one of the most athletic guys in the NBA. He showed you his jumper tonight, 4 of 6 from 3, and some nice mid-range jumpers. Got downhill, scored, attacked the rim. I mean, this is what you want to see on a nightly basis, or at least most nights. It doesn't even have to be every night, but at least most nights, it would be really nice to see this from Andrew Wiggins on a consistent basis. If he can do it, the Warriors are absolutely a dangerous team in the playoffs, a tough out, really hard to beat. If he is who he was against the Knicks, they're not getting out of the play-in. So it's up to you, Andrew Wiggins. It's up to you. Where are we going? Where are we going? As I said, it's like Tony Soprano in season 6 of The Sopranos. Who am I? Where am I going? That is my question for the Warriors. Who are you and where are you going? It's up to Andrew Wiggins, and we'll see. Stick with us. We got more to break down here on Warriors, on Locked On Warriors Postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and we will be right back. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. The 2024 Nissan Rogue is perfect for city drives and great escapes. It even has class-exclusive Google built in and is your always updating assistant to call on for almost anything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store are built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system. The 2024 Rogue is the perfect midsize crossover for your next adventure. Nissan's incredible lineup also includes the 2024 Nissan Armada, and it will change what you expect from a full-size SUV. Picture a rugged 4x4 that can seat up to 8 in first-class luxury and style. Tow bigger and explore further in the 2024 Armada. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors Postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel. And tonight, the Warriors getting it done against the Memphis Grizzlies, 137-116. Contributions coming from everywhere. We just talked about a big contribution from Andrew Wiggins tonight, but can he get it done on a nightly basis? We don't know. Another Warrior who I need to see kind of get it together a little bit is Brandon Podziemski. And tonight, it wasn't a total stinker of a game offensively. He did not do everything that you want to see from him. Only 2 points, 1 of 6 shooting. That's not great. But he did have 5 offensive rebounds, 4 assists, 5 rebounds, 1 offensive rebound, 4 regular rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. He had some nice defensive plays. He drew another charge tonight. He seems to always be in the right spot offensively, but he's just in a funk, man. You know, he's missing layups that he should make. He's taking wide open shots that are just not falling, and he don't look very good while he's doing it. There's something wrong. It looks like maybe he's pressing a little bit. Maybe he's just banged up from all the times he's taken headshots over the last couple of games. His head's got to be pretty thick, man, because he's been bonked a couple times in these last few games. He's drawn blood even in a few of these instances, and he hasn't missed any time really. I mean, he missed some time a couple weeks ago for I believe it was a leg injury, and he kind of didn't look the same when he first came back from that injury as well. He was not really getting to his spots. He wasn't really moving super well. His jumper looked and that's kind of how he looks right now too. So I wonder if there's an injury lingering for Brandon Podziemski. I love that word, lingering. shout out Pineapple Express. But Brandon Podziemski just not himself lately, and the Warriors need him in a big way. I think you need to leave Chris Paul on the bench. I don't think you can just simple as like plug and play, move those two guards, switch them, and kind of takes some of the pressure off of Podziemski by putting him with that second unit. I don't think that you should separate Chris Paul from that second unit. He's done such a great job of making the non-Steph minutes viable for this team, something that hasn't existed in a really long time, back since the strength in numbers years, really, when you had Leandro Barbosa and Sean Livingston and Mo Spates and all these other guys who could really get it going off the bench. It's nice to have someone down there that you can rely on again, like Chris Paul, again, season high 14 assists tonight. And just so steady, as we've said on this podcast before, like a warm blanket down there on the bench, just making you feel nice and comfortable while stuff's out of the game. And that's so invaluable. I don't think you need to take him off of the bench. One spot, and we've talked about this, that I think they could kind of fix things and shore things up a little bit, is moving Trayce Jackson-Davis into that starting lineup on occasion, depending on the matchup. It might be nice to see him in there and have a traditional big where Draymond Green doesn't have to worry about rim protection as much, and he can kind of do more of the things that he's really gifted at doing, which is floor general, playing center field in the middle of that court on defense and flying around, help defense everywhere. And that's when he can be special and make those plays that just blow up opposing offenses. And Trayce Jackson-Davis has also been much more reliable scoring consistently than Brandon Podziemski has been. In that starting lineup, tonight, all the other starters besides Brandon Podziemski were in double figures. But most nights, that's not the case lately. There's been some struggles finding some buckets from people other than Stephen Curry and Jonathan Kuminga in that starting lineup. Trayce Jackson-Davis could be the answer to that. And I'm curious to see if Steve Kerr goes that direction soon. Brandon Podziemski, I don't think you can just keep rolling him out there with the starting lineup if this is what's going to happen to him. I think they might need to make some changes there. You can't have questions about your rookie in your starting lineup going into the playoffs. You need to be sure of that guy. And I'm not saying that we got big questions about Podziemski, but he does need to bounce back. Otherwise, it's questionable going into the playoffs with a guy who's barely able to score 4 or 5 points a night. I don't know if that guy can start for you going down the stretch if you're hoping to get out of the play-in. You're not going to be playing teams like the Memphis Grizzlies in the playoffs. That's just not who you're going to play. You're going to be competing up against much tougher competition, and you're going to need to be at the top of your game. The Warriors have shown you this season, every single player needs to contribute if they're going to be good teams. They can get away with some sloppy play against some bad teams. They can get away with guys having some off nights against bad teams. But when push comes to shove in the playoffs, every team is good. You need to show up with your A game or you're going to be sent packing. You're going back home. The other thing the Warriors need to figure out before the playoffs is their home record. They are 18-18 at home, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And the way that gets better is if all of these role players can get better at home. Andrew Wiggins, that's what normally happens in the NBA. Andrew Wiggins, 22 points tonight. That's what the Warriors need from him on a consistent basis. Like 18 to 22 points per night would be just perfect from Andrew Wiggins. The Warriors would do so much if they got that from him. If they got the efficiency was huge tonight. 9 of 14 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3 for Andrew Wiggins in 29 minutes. Great bounce back game from him, but we need to see it against playoff teams. We just flat out do. I really enjoyed the Jonathan Kuminga dunks tonight. I just wanted to say that one more time. That was really fun. I mean, tonight's game was really enjoyable to watch, man. I mean, Warriors looked locked in. It was competitive until the Warriors kind of blew it open with the lead, but the Grizzlies never gave up, and both teams fought to the end. Kuminga with a ton of energy tonight. All those dunks, man, just an aerial assault at the rim. So fun to watch. And we'll look forward to more, hopefully more aerial assaults at the rim from Jonathan Kuminga on Friday versus the Pacers at Chase Center. 7 p.m. tip on that one. We'll come to you live right after that, as always, on Locked On Sports Bay Area and on the Locked On Warriors podcast channel. We will come to you live after that game next time, and that's about all the time we have for you tonight on Locked On Warriors Postcast. Thanks for sticking with us. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and we'll see you next time. Peace.